What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 215. Today, back in the studio is Matt Griffin. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Excited to be here.
It's a great day. You know, we have a lot of sports going on in the world right now. It hasn't been a great week, but we're kind of at the end of the time where I'm over the Lions game by now.
Good, yeah.
I would assume you are as well.
I suppose, yeah. I would say I'm over it. I guess I'm sort of, like, it's not like I'm upset about it anymore or anything like that, so I guess I am over it, but, I mean, it sucks still.
Yeah, like, it definitely, Monday was, like, the worst Monday probably I've had ever. Like, it's definitely up there for worst Mondays.
I didn't have anything to do Monday, we had Sports Central
right.
Monday night, but, like, I was able to take Monday, just sort of, like,
that's nice.
I was up for a while on Sunday, so.
Yeah.
You know.
See, I told you this on Monday, but I did the opposite after the game. I went right to bed and just laid there.
It's fair.
Don't know when I fell asleep, but it was a rough time. We might as well get this out of the way because we haven't discussed this yet. Super Bowl, Niners Chiefs. Is it the worst Super Bowl matchup in the last X amount of years?
I don't know. I don't know why. I'll be honest. I don't know why that's the popular take. It's the guy who might be the best quarterback ever is. I think he's the best quarterback ever. He's shooting for the greatest quarterback ever, right? He's sort of on that path. And then on the other side is the Niners, who we all agreed, like, heading into the season and throughout the season, like, this is the best roster in the league.
It's true. Throughout the season.
Outside of the Ravens,
my opinion
until the
has
Ravens
changed.
Game, yeah, like, I guess, your opinion can change.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, I'm pulling for the Chiefs, I'd say. Like, I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy.
I am too.
But I don't know. I think it's a fine Super Bowl matchup. I don't think it's like I think Ravens would have been better. I think it's the worst one that the conference championship could have given us. But I don't know.
Yeah,
that it's the worst Super Bowl
I guess
matchup,
that's
period.
maybe how I feel. Like why I'm that way. A lot of people are in that boat because they just don't like seeing the Chiefs back in it, which I'm not in that part of it. Like I do think it's cool that Mahomes is like you said. I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy. I think he's the best, most talented quarterback there is. But he has to be the greatest ever. You know, he's got to win Super Bowls and everything. So I'm cool with the Chiefs being there. It just bugs me the 49ers are there, man. I don't know why. It's just like, and I know why. It's because they beat the Lions. But like, they just did not win in convincing fashion.
No, that's true.
And they're favored in the Super Bowl, at least last time I checked. So it's just, I don't know. It frustrates me a little bit. It feels like they didn't earn their way to the Super Bowl. Yeah, is how I feel.
Yeah, I could see that. They didn't have like an awesome postseason run.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it was a huge comeback.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
so I guess
it's
there's
true.
that.
Yeah,
like,
and they earned the bye. So like,
but they also came back against the Packers, and like you said, they earned the bye. Like, they are the most talented team in the NFC.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes sense.
It makes sense. It just sucks. I just wish the Lions were there. But Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn are back.
I'm excited for next football season.
I'm really excited. I'm so excited for the offseason for what are the Lions going to do?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be anything crazy, but just based on how...
not, but there's so many different ways that they could go.
Exactly. And like based on how they drafted last year, like I feel like we might... I'm scared that if the rookies aren't crazy good right away, we're going to be like, is Brad Holmes washed at drafting? Which is just stupid because he drafted one of the best classes in Detroit history last year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hope people won't do that.
I really hope not. I don't think so.
Rookies usually aren't very good.
No.
So
like,
give
really
them a little bit of time. But I don't know. Like, it didn't take me as long to get over the game because like I was like at home and I was like, I thought Cam Sutton and Vildor were going to be the cornerback duo to win a Super Bowl, dude. Like, come on. Like, let's be honest. Cam Sutton, CB1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
he's
just
bad. Like,
Kendall Vildor wasn't even on the team till like week 10.
There's just certain things, there's just certain things like that where it's like, I guess it just doesn't really add up. And the 49ers having an all-star team.
So here's a big question. I know that you and I are in the same category of we are not big Brock Purdy is elite guys. At least that was the thing. I don't know if you've changed on that.
No, I haven't.
I assume you haven't. So if they win the Super Bowl, right? Because like I'm not saying, and I don't think anyone is saying that they won because of Brock Purdy, right?
Right.
How difficult is it going to be to rank Brock Purdy in the, ranking all 32 quarterbacks or whatever, even in tiers? Like how difficult, because as much as I want to say he's not very good, he's not, he's still top 20,
Yeah, he's top 20.
But
that's fine.
But is he top 10?
I don't think so.
No, he's not.
I think there's 12 better. It's minimum 12 better quarterbacks.
I agree. And I just think it's going to suck trying to rank that, stay in that way if he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a tough
Super Bowl.
It's a tough one to overcome a little bit from the Brock Purdy haters. Like, well, he won the Super Bowl. So how is he bad? And I'm not saying he's bad. He's fine. He's better than.
He's fine.
I think he's every bit as good as like Goff is probably.
I'll say he's in the Goff territory.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, if not. I think you could make the case he's a touch better. I wouldn't say that, but like I think it's fair to be like he's at the top of the game manager tier, I guess.
Yeah. Depending on who you label as a game manager, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. But I think that he I don't know.
I would agree with that though.
I don't think he's a top 10 guy. I think
I think it's crazy.
He's in the mid-teens. He's in the teens.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'd say.
Purdy or Geno Smith, your guy.
I'm a Geno guy. Yeah, man. I think Geno would win the Super Bowl with the Niners.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that is kind of an easy way of like ranking it.
Super
like if that guy's on the Niners, they're doing the same thing.
Garoppolo had crazy numbers with the Niners,
and no one ever said he was a top 10 guy.
No, I don't know. It's weird. It's almost like they're over. Like Niners fans are like over projecting with Purdy,
and it's probably just because he's young. I would assume.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think, and his the numbers are pretty.
But like you're taking
insane.
Jordan Love over Brock Purdy.
Easily.
And it's just like
easily.
If you're taking Jordan Love over him, then there's so many other guys that you're also taking over him. So it's I was trying to think of another good one, but I can't really think of one. So gotta be Kyler, right? It's gotta be Kyler.
I'd say Kyler.
I saw some guy doing it. I'm definitely taking Kirk as well.
I'd take Kirk too. Yeah.
I saw some guy do an NFC quarterback bracket like challenge or whatever. And I don't know who seeded these, but Goff was the 2 seed going up against Kyler Murray, who was that would be the 15 seed or whatever, or the whatever that would be.
Hilarious.
Why was that the case?
Maybe they just did it like just pass yards.
It could have been, I guess. That's true. It probably was because I think Goff was second. So yeah, that would make sense. Okay, let's call it that for football talk, and let's move into basketball talk. As yesterday we had a good amount of news come in the NBA. Obviously, the big one is that the All-Star reserves and the full All-Star teams were announced. Also, we had an unfortunate injury talk with one of the star players, Joel Embiid, in the NBA. And then the trade deadline is a week from yesterday. So we have a lot of trade rumors to talk about. I forgot. I do have one more thing I do have to ask you, though.
Go ahead.
Groundhog's Day is today.
Yeah.
Are you a believer in the groundhog?
It doesn't really make. I haven't thought about it since maybe like 3rd grade, but in 3rd grade I was like, that doesn't really make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Today was.
But I haven't looked into it at all.
Today was the first day I've ever actually thought about it since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking about it with someone, and I always was under the belief that the groundhog, whatever they did, like actually is what happened. Like, if the groundhog saw a shadow or whatever, it's an early spring. Like, I thought it was like a guarantee. Like, that is what happens.
I don't think that's
and
the
it's
case.
not.
Yeah. But when I was a little kid, I didn't think that was the case. Because I feel like, I was like, that doesn't really
I just never really was too educated on the whole Groundhog's Day thing.
That's fair.
So you're telling me that if he sees his shadow, there's a chance that it's an early spring?
Maybe it's more likely?
Like, why does that even exist?
I don't know. Well, it's because that means the sun is out.
Right.
I don't know.
So why can't you just say...
It's not a 1-to-1 correlation, I don't think,
Yeah, it's definitely not. Like, I saw something today that he hits at like a 30% rate.
Oh, that's terrible.
Like, why is that even...
We could just guess. We could just go one of two. It's literally, it's a 50-50 chance.
It's 50-50. I've never understood that. And today was a really eye-opening day of like, Groundhog's Day is really pointless.
It is. Yeah, it is pointless. It was always pointless. It was like a big deal in like elementary school.
Yeah, it really. We would talk about like the history of it. There's like a movie you would watch,
and I don't remember any of it.
I don't remember any of it either. But it was like an important holiday.
Like, Groundhog's Day this week. Like, okay.
Oh, all right. Literally. Okay, that was all I wanted to say. So let's talk about All Stars first. I'll go through the All Star teams quick, just in case anyone listening doesn't know. But obviously, you can just look them up. In the East, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, Giannis, Tatum, and Embiid are the starters, with Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Bam Adebayo, Julius Randle, Tyrese Maxey, Paolo Banchero filling out the reserves. Matt, one, I guess I want to ask you, like, who are the biggest snubs? Obviously, it's the biggest question of all. Mm-hmm. But are you a person that, like, subscribes to the, like, getting really upset over like who is snubbed from the All-Star game thing? Like, is it that big of a deal, or is like you more of like All NBA is what truly matters kind of thing?
I think All NBA is what truly matters. I'll say, like, I don't know, Because, like, there's a bunch of players who are, like, all-star level, I guess. So, like, maybe I would refer to a guy as, like, oh, but, like, he's an all-star type of player. He's an all-star level player. Doesn't necessarily mean that he made the last one.
Actually won it.
Like, yeah, sure, I see the teams, and I'm like, oh, I think that this guy's been better than this dude or whatever every year, which everybody does. But, I'm not losing sleep over it or, like, thinking about it a ton, really.
That's kind of how I feel it, too, because the way you just said, like, putting them in tiers, like, all-star caliber player, like De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, both are all-star, all-NBA caliber players, you know, both made it in their careers. So just because they didn't make it this year doesn't mean that they're now bumped into that, like, good player tier,
right,
you know, like, it doesn't matter. And I always have just been a guy that, like, if you're so mad that this guy missed, who are you taking off? You know, like, somebody has to someone has to miss the list. But yeah, did you think anyone in the Eastern Conference, like, actually was snubbed and deserved to make the team?
I do. I will say, like, so Julius Randle's not going to play in the game. He got hurt. And Joel Embiid obviously is not going to play in the game. Very unfortunate. Torn meniscus. He's having an unbelievable season.
Which sucks.
Yeah, sucks really bad. But I think Trae Young's an all-star. I thought this last year, too. And, I mean, it's a pretty similar case to last year. Although I think he's better this year than he was last year.
Yeah.
I legit think he's just a better defensive player now. And people are going to point to the defense as to, oh, well, that's why he didn't make it. Like, he's the worst defender in the league. I don't really think that's true anymore. Also, Damian Lillard starting. They're the same level of defensive player at worst. Trae Young's probably been better this season just based off what I've watched. But, I mean, he's 27-11, and you know, he's efficient. Like, he's one of the best advantage creators in the league, one of the best passers in the league. I think that's just an all-star. I know that like the Hawks aren't great and everything, and I know that, you know, he started the season a little slow from three in particular, but he's an all-star.
So who would miss the list in your like hypothetically Trae Young makes it in a wild card spot, so you can take out anyone.
Anybody? I mean, I'd have Trae over a couple of these guys. I'd have Trae. I think he's been better than Paolo. I think
that's kind of the guy I would point to.
I think he's been better than Paolo. I think he's been better than Jaylen Brown too.
Yeah, and it does suck because
Julius Randle.
I mean, it doesn't suck, but the team success plays a lot into this. You know, like you look at the top teams in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Knicks each have 2 All-Stars. That's 6 guys on a 12-man roster. So half of the Eastern Conference is filled with the top 3 seeds. And then you have the Sixers have 2 All-Stars too, with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So it's with the Hawks being 20 and 27 or whatever, like that, I assume plays into it
for sure.
But I feel like that should be more of an All-NBA kind of thing. Like if you're the worst team in the NBA, you know, like the Pistons don't. I already saw someone like compare Cade's stats to Jaylen Brown's.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like,
that too. Yeah,
how is Cade not in over Jaylen Brown? Like, come on, dude.
Every time you see that, you just be like, well, Trey's everything more everything.
So, that's and with a bunch more wins too. So I definitely think that it's. The good team thing, I do think that the good teams
something to it. Like a little bit.
Yes.
But.
And I think that they should all have like a representative, you know, like all the top teams in the each conference probably should have an all-star. There's a reason why they're that good.
Yeah.
But also a guy like Trae Young is just having such a good year, and a team that's not so bad, you know, like they're in contention for a playoff spot.
They're not incompetent.
Exactly. And you playing, you know, looking at it that way, the LA Lakers have 2 All-Stars, and they're, I believe, also the 10 seed in the Western Conference, just like Atlanta is. So it's a weird situation with as far as like the winning thing, but so if Trae Young is a replacement, because I did do some research on that. I don't think that the positions matter with replacements.
Okay. Because
I think when Devin Booker made his first All-Star game, he was replacing a forward. I think it was Kevin Durant. I think he missed it with the Warriors or something. So let's say Trae Young makes it. I would assume at least he makes it. Who's that other guy in the East that you think gets in?
It's between 2 guys for me, but I'm going to go with Scotty Barnes. The numbers have fallen since the Pascal trade, but I mean, he's still at 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah.
He's the best player on their team. I think that, you know, he took a shooting leap, kind of cooled off since the beginning of the year. The pull-up 3 numbers have gone down pretty dramatically, but still it's important that, you know, he's respectable from behind 3 now. And I think, you know, he's not a number 1 option. He's kind of being asked to do that to a degree. And their half-court offense is very bad. And I think a big part of that is that they don't have a real number 1 option. But Scotty's been really good. He's a good defender, I think. You know, I don't think he is a good defender. A very good defender, in my opinion. He generates a lot of turnovers. He gambles a little bit, but, you know, happens. So I think that he's got a good case. I would have had him over Randle as well. And the other dude that I think deserves a decent shout, at least above the next, because a lot of guys deserve a shout.
Yeah.
above the next tier guys is Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen's been really, really good, and he's not exactly the guy you want to see in an all-star game, so to speak. So I understand that too. Like he is, I guess, just like a super high-level role player, if you want to say. But after Mobley went out, like Jared Allen's been
his numbers were unreal. Yeah, and he helped the Cavs continue to rise. Yep. I mean, they were better when those two guys went out. With Donovan and Jarrett really, and a lot of other role players really stepping up as well. But yeah, I thought Jarrett was phenomenal over this last month. And I assume that's going to continue even though Mobley is back.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's been a monster. Defensively, I think that he's really popped off the page over the last month. Offensively, I feel like we've seen him play make a little bit more. The assist numbers are up a little bit. That stuff's kind of fun to see because you don't always get to see that from him because they do have so much ball handling. And he's always been good at just playing his role, but I've really enjoyed him sort of in bigger spurts, I guess.
And he made his first All-Star appearance, I think, 2 years ago in the same situation. And that's right, as an injury replacement. So it wouldn't be like a crazy, we're letting Jared Allen in the All-Star game. He made it before,
really
so.
He's not a guy that you, it's like, I need him in the All-Star game.
Right, but he might have earned a spot with these injuries.
He's got a similar case a little bit to Derek White.
Right.
Maybe, but
or Porzingis, I think, too.
Yep, or Porzingis.
I think that a third Celtic has a shot, if with the injury replacements, because I feel like most of the fans kind of have the same mindset as who should be the replacements. I think if you ask most NBA fans, they would say Trey and Scotty probably, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
That's fair.
And I think that the actual voters do the coaches pick the replacements? Who does that?
I don't know who picks the replacements. The coaches pick the bench.
Yes. And that's always different than what the fans feel, like last year, Jaren Jackson making an All-Star game was kind of no one really expected that to happen.
Right.
You could say even Karl Anthony Towns making it this year, that was probably not expected from the fans. So who really knows who's going to get in that final spot in the East? But yeah, we can talk about the Joel Embiid injury right now. There's not too much to talk about with it because we just don't really know a lot yet. It was ruled as a meniscus tear, and then I saw that Shams came out right after and was the team hasn't confirmed it's a torn meniscus. They're going to do the reevaluation on Sunday or throughout the weekend. He's going to be out, and then they're going to do their treatment plan or whatever for how they're going to keep him out. This is really bad, though, if he's obviously done for the season. It just sucks for Philly. To me, coming into this year, this season kind of felt like before the season even started, before we knew anything, this kind of felt like an in-between year for the Sixers anyways, with the move of James Harden and you acquired draft picks and you have a bunch of expiring contracts. Yeah. So it's not like the end of the world, but they've been playing so well this year.
You thought that before the season, but the way that Tyrese Maxey in particular,
exactly right.
But,
yes.
I mean, Tobias Harris has been probably better than expected. He was really good last night.
In a great position to make moves at the deadline to acquire talent.
Yeah, and I think that they're really well coached. I think Nick Nurse has done a phenomenal job. They're really good on offense. They're really good on defense. There's no reason that they couldn't be a contender in the postseason if everything sort of went their way the rest of the year. And Embiid kind of had that postseason run that we've all been hoping that he will have.
For real.
So it is pretty heartbreaking. I think a lot of people thought that this Sixers team was sort of they might not be as the most talented iteration of the Sixers, but I think people like this Sixers team as much as any. And I was ready to buy into them as this is going to be a tough out. Nobody can guard Joel at all.
Exactly. He could just take over a series. Yeah. I know he has.
He should be able to take. Conceivably could take over a series. He just hasn't.
And like you said, Tyrese Maxey, we saw last night. After making his first All-Star game, drops 50 points in a win against the Jazz. So there was a great situation where this Sixers team is a major threat in the postseason play. I think that most people probably would still have had them it's a top 3 contender in the East. Them and the Knicks are kind of in that same tier.
Miami, maybe.
Maybe Miami.
I'd still be worried about that.
But yeah, this is a very unfortunate. I just don't know what to expect as far as is he going to be done for the season? Is he only going to miss, the rest of the regular season? Is he going to be out just for a month? Maybe it was just a very slight thing. But this just sucks the most because he was getting all this backlash about not playing in the game against Jokic, and I'll admit I was part of it. I want to see that happen, man. We get to see that twice a year, and we only get it once.
Part of that is that he wasn't on the injury report at all.
That's a good point. Yeah, and then he sat out the following game to try and cover it up that it was a real injury.
Now you're doing it again.
And no, I am doing it again. And then he plays in their next game. clearly not at 100%.
No, not even close.
Re-injury, which maybe he already had this going on beforehand, but I would assume
a little bit. Yeah,
he
Michael
tweaked it.
Michael Malone said like, "Oh, when we were watching film, we could tell he wasn't 100%."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. At least that it's didn't just only happen in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seemed like he was not 100%. Ends up having this meniscus injury, and it kind of leads to this topic that has been a hot topic as of late with the 65 game threshold thing, because Joel Embiid having, I think most people would say probably the MVP of the NBA like right now. Obviously a lot could still change, but having just this incredible season. The 65 game limit, I thought it was like a good idea, but I knew there was going to be issues with it. Mm-hmm. Like when I think we talked about this on the radio, like when it happened, like it's a cool thing, but also what if a guy is going crazy and plays 63 games and doesn't even make an All-NBA team?
Halliburton the past week, I don't know if you've watched the Pacers recently. He's just playing 22 minutes.
Yeah,
and he's clearly hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, because he came back
so that he can get All NBA. Because for Halliburton, he hasn't made All NBA before. That's a super max.
It's huge for him. Yeah, and he's talked about that publicly in the media. He really wants to be an All NBA player.
Yeah. So I'm out on the 65. I'm entirely out.
That's kind of how I am too. Maybe for All NBA, maybe, but for the MVP.
I'm out completely on. No, All NBA is where I'm out. MVP is fine because most likely, if you play under 65 games, you're just not the most valuable player in the entire league. But All NBA, you could be the 15th most. Embiid at 60 games, you'd rather have Embiid for 60 than Siakam for 70.
Yeah,
but Siakam would get All NBA. I don't think that's.
No, you're right.
A right reflection of.
And I saw someone arguing that because the threshold to be in consideration for to lead the league in scoring, a couple years ago LeBron led the league in points per game but didn't win the scoring title because he didn't play. I think it's 58 games, I'm pretty sure, is the margin for that.
I think that's right.
Why is the margin not just 58 games? If that already was set, and last year only 5 out of the 15 All-NBA players would be eligible to make All-NBA teams.
But they were all 63.
Exactly, they're all close.
They're all super close. So I think that was their thinking of it. All right, let's just get these guys to play a few more games.
And I think it has worked for them. A lot of we've just seen guys playing more this season.
Yeah,
less resting, I guess.
I don't know how much of that is because of all like Kawhi, for example. He's playing way more this season, but
does he care?
Exactly.
Does Paul George care?
If Kawhi wanted All NBA that bad, he would have been playing the whole time.
Yeah,
he would have always
because he would have been All NBA. Yeah, you're right. So it's and guys like Jimmy Butler, he obviously still doesn't care. He never has. So I understand their thought process in this threshold thing. It might just be a bit too strict, and I definitely could see this getting changed after this year.
The thing is, even if you want, even if it's just too strict, even if they change it, the same rule still ends up being, what about 55 games versus 60?
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It still kind of ends up the same way, and it still ends up with guys maybe rushing themselves back, putting themselves in harm's way.
So what is the number then?
If there is one.
But as I'm saying,
it's on the voters.
If there wasn't one, and you have a vote, and this guy is having an All NBA caliber season, but he played 52 games this year. Are you putting him over a guy that had, a little bit worse stats, a worse season, but played 70 games?
No, probably not. Probably not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
No, and, I wouldn't, but
it's just,
what if it's
I think that's what makes it so hard on the voters, though.
What if it's 2013 LeBron?
Then he obviously deserves it. I mean, it could be like Embiid this year,
But I think, you have to really sit there and think, is he real? Is 50 games of this guy really more valuable than 70? You'd have to think about that. Almost always the answer is no. I would imagine.
Right.
But, the fact that there is every once in a while there's a case, I feel like we could reflect that. I feel like you don't have to, it feels like it's giving voters a cop-out or just, trying to make their job easier.
It is.
To me, get better voters.
Okay.
If that's
fair.
the problem.
Because I think without the limit, it does give them more, it gives them more opinion in their vote, if you truly believe that 50 games of this guy is still worth it to make All-NBA, then sure, you can make that decision. So I guess that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm cool with them trying to get players to play more games, obviously. I'm with that wholeheartedly. I want guys to play more. But I think that there are some unintended consequences, and I don't really think the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, so. I definitely think a change will happen after this year. There's just been a lot of...
No chance this rule makes it past,
3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first time somebody goes on a podcast is I rushed back to try and get to 65 games because I wanted to be on NBA. Exactly, Embiid might have. And so, and he might have just played because, they're going to lose if he don't play and, they're falling the standings or whatever. But I think that if anybody blames an injury on the 65 games thing, that's going to be probably pretty
It's definitely
going to
be bad, yeah. And if Joel Embiid, this injury didn't happen, like this re-aggravation or whatever, and he would have played like 62 games and wasn't All-NBA or MVP, like that's why I'm even most mad about this injury, because I just wanted to see what would happen. If he was so short of this threshold and clearly was the MVP, or not even just the MVP, clearly a top 5 player in the NBA to be on All-NBA first team and didn't get on at all,
right?
I would be really interested to see how the feedback is from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous to be like
that's crazy.
67. If Joel played 67 games, he's the MVP. If he plays 63, he's not even all.
He's not top 15 in the NBA.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous to me. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Embiid, though, the injury is not as bad as we think, because he is having a historic season
for sure.
All right, moving on. Let's play a good old fashioned game before we hop into trade deadlines.
Wait. West Snubs.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about West. Yeah. You're right. Western Conference, here was the All-Stars. Obviously, the starters were Shea, Luka, KD, LeBron, Jokic, which I know this is old news now, but like Steph not being a starter in a fan-voted type of thing, it's unreal. It is. Shows how great Shea and Luka are, for sure. And then the 7 reserves, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, Paul George, and Karl Anthony Towns. The West was obviously a much tougher selection of guys than the Eastern Conference. We could name 5 to 6, 7 guys that were snubbed from the Western Conference.
5 to 6 guys probably that would have made it on the East.
Yeah, probably. And I understand that now it's back to East and West, but one of my biggest pet peeves with the All-Star game was when it was this draft thing. Why do we still do East and West?
Agreed.
Why is it not just the 24 guys, you know? But now that it is East versus West, sure.
Do you care that it's East versus West?
No.
I never did. I don't think it adds anything.
And I don't really get why Silver's thing this year to fix the All-Star game was let's make it East-West. Like, I honestly thought the draft was kind of cool. Like,
yeah,
it didn't it wasn't special. Yeah, it's like making East versus West is not going to change anything.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Cool jerseys, I guess, maybe.
The jerseys are sweet.
They are.
They're really good.
But biggest snubs in the Western Conference for you?
So I think you probably just got to start with the Kings, right?
Yeah, both Kings.
I'd lean towards Sabonis. First player in history to average 19, 13, and 8 on 60% field goal, and yet he still did not make the All-Star team.
Really? First player ever.
Yeah.
Jokic didn't do it.
No.
Probably not. Not quite 13. Yeah.
65 true shooting. It leads the league in rebounding. Shooting 45% from 3. He only takes 1 a game, though. 5th in win shares if you're into that sort of thing. The Fox-less minutes are a lot better than the Sabonis-less minutes, which is just sort of why I lean Sabonis. But I get if you're like, I don't really care. Like, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because Fox has been very, very good as well. Massive shooting leap this season, 38% on 8 3-point attempts per game. Last year was 32% on 5 attempts per game. He's getting to pull-ups. He's getting to step-back threes. Like, it's pretty spectacular how he's sort of shifted his game that way. He's not as good at the rim this year as he was before. Which is kind of odd, and I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of changed, because usually that isn't such a variable. But those are probably the 2 guys that you start with in the West. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just going off of your point with the 2 guys there, like we talk about the standings and like these good teams should be reflected in the All-Star game. The Kings are like playing really good basketball right now, and they were in like 500 territory for a good stretch of the beginning of the season, separated themselves back up to the 5th seed. 2 teams that are below them in the standings each have 2 All-Stars apiece in the Suns and Lakers. Yeah. Now, am I saying that any of those 4 guys don't deserve an All-Star spot? No.
I don't know if I can get...
And I'm not saying that. Like, obviously, those 4 guys are all All-Stars, you know? But we talk about the rest of the Western Conference. It's just weird that the Kings don't have a representative with the 2 All-Star caliber players, All-NBA caliber players that they have. I would say that just one of them has to get in over Karl Anthony Towns. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm not saying Cat doesn't deserve it, but the Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards in the All-Star game. Cat's having a good season for sure, but I just think that one of the Kings has to get in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think Cat should be the second Timberwolf if there is going to be a second Timberwolf?
It could be Gobert. It could have been Gobert. Like, and that's kind of where you lean. Like, should Cat really have made it, you know? Because it could have been one of those 2 guys.
Cat's been good. Cat's been really good.
And they're the 1 seed, you know?
Since the new year, I think he's shooting like almost 50% from 3 or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's been on one, but I wouldn't have had him on my team. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I don't know.
But the West is hard. There's a ton of guys.
It's really hard, and that's why I think Because you have a guy like Alperen Şengün, who's having a phenomenal season for the Rockets. They've been really improved this year, and he is clearly the number one guy on that squad. And I also think that voters are usually pretty apt to like let the new budding stars in the All-Star game. It kind of just seems like Tyrese Maxey this year. Like everyone wanted to get him in the All-Star game. Well deserving. It just seems like that's kind of the trend. So that's the part that just makes it very difficult with these All-Star games, because you have a guy like Lauri Markkanen, who I think I really thought Markkanen was going to get in the game, honestly.
Yeah, I love Markkanen. I wish he did.
And he's not having like as good of a statistical season as last year, but the Jazz have been rolling. They're probably better. I would assume they're better at this point than they were last year, record-wise.
Probably.
It's probably right in the same
But it's
range.
different. The Jazz have the Jazz are on the way up.
Exponentially grown.
Last year, the Jazz started real hot.
That's a good point. But Markkanen has been phenomenal this year. And like you said, the Jazz team in general is very fun. Markkanen averaging 24 points per game on pretty good efficiency as well, right up there, close to 9 rebounds a game as well. So, yeah, it's just it's a very unfortunate 2 misses. I think Şengün and Markkanen, I was hoping that one of those guys would maybe get in, but like,
you know who I was hoping would get in?
Who's
Wemby.
that? Oh, that's a good one, dude. Yeah. Wemby could have got in.
He's a per minute All-Star. He just doesn't play.
Yeah.
If he played 30 plus minutes a night, I think he'd be an All-Star.
Do you think with being 10 and 38, you think they'd let him in?
They probably wouldn't be 10 and 38 if he was playing more.
You're right. That's a really good point. Yeah.
But yeah, you're probably right about that. But I do think I don't know. They could have tried to if the fan vote could have carried him maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think Chet has some All-Star talk?
Some talk, because he's probably in a similar tier of Wemby, and his team is so good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have had him in either. I would have him
below all the other guys we said.
Yeah, I would have him behind both Kings for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that just one of the Kings is the biggest snub in the West. Yeah. But also, I do think that almost everybody was probably a lock other than Cat, right? Maybe Paul George wasn't. Maybe.
Yeah, you could make the case. I think Paul George has been really good, but I don't think his numbers are super spectacular.
No, they don't. They don't reflect it as hard. I agree.
Yeah. Harden probably has a case here too.
He low key probably does. Everyone else was a lock. I think.
Yeah,
you can't take anyone else out.
Exactly.
So then when we name 5 guys that we think should have made it, it sucks.
Yeah, I agree. What how about the starters? Do you think there are people starting who shouldn't be?
I mean, LeBron, probably shouldn't be starting.
LeBron.
I love LeBron,
but I get it.
He's LeBron. This is his 20th
I think it's 20 straight
All-Star start.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Because this is year 21. Yeah. So this would be
unreal, dude. 20 straight All-Star, dude.
And I would assume he started in all of those.
Yeah, I think he did. I think it is 20 straight All-Star starts, maybe 19.
Either way.
But yeah, I would have Kawhi starting.
And then the East, we both agree that Dame Brunson should be dude.
Yeah, I'd go Brunson. Spider's pretty close, though.
You're right.
I think Donovan Mitchell's got a case. But yeah, I'd start Brunson.
Brunson has been, even in that game last night,
insane, dude.
God, he is so...
I wish I watched the whole thing. I tuned in at the end.
He's so fun. That was the only game I was really locked into last night. I was kind of skipping back and forth, but that one I was... Because it was just... The Knicks were just losing the whole game and then just came back at the end.
Yeah.
But Brunson he really truly does feel almost unguardable from a small package standpoint. It really feels like you cannot stop him because of how good he is off the pivot and off of 2 feet.
Yeah.
His pump fake, he really is unguardable, and he finishes so well. His floater, I always love a guy that has a good touch floater. Brunson is I might have to get
shooting
a Brunson
it too,
jersey,
man.
Dude.
Shooting it too this year. Yeah, he's been unbelievable. So much fun to watch. Yeah, the Knicks are so sick to watch.
They are. Which was weird because at the beginning of the season we were not saying that at all.
I mean, just the way that they defend. Because last year they weren't very good on defense, and so I don't know. But now it's I love watching them defend, and obviously adding all the guys that they've added helps a lot. OG and Precious, particularly, I think.
Yeah.
Precious has been really fun to watch on the Knicks. I've always been a Precious Achiuwa guy, so it's good to see him be a little bit more consistent. And OG's helped them a ton. But, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
So moving in, let's start there. Let's have our good old-fashioned game here before we talk about trades of contenders or pretenders. The way that I'm defining this, just so we can get this out of the way, is contenders means that you can win the NBA Finals. Not that you can make a conference finals. You can maybe even sneak into the NBA Finals. You can hold up the Larry O.B. at the end of the season.
Okay.
That's a contender.
Okay.
A pretender is someone that you just don't think it can happen. Let's start with those New York Knicks. Currently, the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference at 32-17 have been playing some great ball. as of late. They're on a 9-game winning streak. Contenders or pretenders?
I hate to say it but I just can't quite get there. I think in this, I hate to call them pretenders because I think
when they're playing so well.
Because they think they're playing above like what you would expect them to, sort
definitely.
of. Right? But yeah, I'm gonna go with pretenders. But like they have great vibes.
They do have great vibes.
Maybe the vibes can carry them through the playoffs.
And I think
will they beat the Celtics?
We're in a point in the NBA where, and it's been like this the last several seasons, but there's way more contenders than there like has been in 10 years ago in the NBA, I would say. Like there's just a wide range of teams that can win the finals, but there still can't be too many.
Julius Randle, dude, in the playoffs, like it's bad.
That's true.
It's been bad.
It has been bad.
They can probably maybe they'll play above my expectations in the playoffs, but
Did you see that video of Candace Parker saying that Jalen Brunson didn't perform in the Cavs series last year?
That was a tough one.
What is she talking about? She watches basketball, right?
She knows basketball.
Like maybe she just forgot.
I think. Well, she said that he played really well in the first round and played bad in the
Yeah.
He didn't play bad in either round. He played well in the first round.
But
he played fine in the first round too, but dominated in the second round. Maybe she got those. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny because it was
maybe
just
a
so
producer
wrong.
gave her bad info.
That's a good. That could be it. But yeah, I'm with you on the Knicks. I'm pretenders. Now they are a team that has a lot of flexibility at the deadline. Like if they are to make another move, they could.
The vibes are too good.
But like
that's
you're
where
not.
I'm at.
But you're
that's
not
why I don't think they should make a trade.
Like you're going to be trading Fournier and Quentin Grimes.
You're right. You're right.
So like they're not going to be moving guys in there. It was not like a quickly Barrett trade,
Yeah.
But I do agree. It has to be someone that like it is. I saw this tweet last night that was like, I can't believe the Knicks front office was like, let's just get a bunch of guys that are like friends,
yeah,
and it's gonna work. I thought it was so funny.
You can't trade any of those. The friends.
No,
you can't
definitely
trade the core
not.
friends.
You might as well go get Mikal Bridges and just
agree.
add to it. Okay, so pretenders for the Knicks. Let's move to a team we kind of already talked about, Philly, the 5 seed right now, 30-17 with the Joel Embiid injury status up in the air.
I struggle to believe it's up in the air, if I'm being completely honest with you. I get that it might not be a torn meniscus, but I think he's probably out for the year.
Yeah.
And
even
they're probably
if it's
not going to rush him back.
Embiid.
And also, if he misses like 3 months, like they're just not going to be a high. Like they might be out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So pretenders, unfortunately.
Yeah, if Embiid never got hurt.
Then I'd probably say contenders, but like definitely on the bottom.
Yeah. I don't even know if I would put him in it. It's just like and I hate to be that guy that's like, I don't care how he's playing this season.
Right.
It's different in the playoffs.
You're right. That's why I'd be like, yeah, they'd be contenders, I think, because like there's a world where you can put together an awesome playoff run. It just hasn't happened yet. And I think that there are some limitations that maybe it can't happen. But I also think Nick Nurse has sort of unlocked them in a whole different way.
That's kind of where I would lean to because it's just a different coach team this season and not Doc Rivers. Speaking of Doc Rivers, the Milwaukee Bucks, contenders or pretenders?
Contenders.
Yeah, I think that's
contenders.
I think that's a pretty easy one, honestly. I don't even have to ask the Boston Celtics.
Contenders.
Here's one: are the Miami Heat contenders or pretenders?
I'm gonna say contenders because I do think that they could get to the level to get there. Okay, but. They definitely aren't playing like it.
No, not at all. I mean, since the Rozier trade, they've been
it's been bad. It's been bad.
I like the addition of Terry Rozier. Like, I think it just adds another guy that can score by shot creator and he can play make.
Yep.
I don't know what the ideal lineup really is for the Heat yet.
Spo will figure it out.
Probably.
I think it's just, hey, you got to let Hero rock with the bench.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
I think that's the next button that you got to press is, all right, Rozier starts, and you got to let Hero rock with the bench and sort of create for himself because he has been, they moved him off ball more, which, Hero's a good off-ball player, but he has gotten to the point where you want him with the ball in his hands a decent amount, so I'd let him cook with the bench, but it's still pretty early in the whole Rozier.
It definitely is. I'm going to say... It's so hard to say pretenders for the Heat, man.
That's true.
I mean, they could have won it all last year. I don't think anyone thought they were going to beat Denver, and obviously they didn't. But
they gave themselves a chance.
They did. They made it there and won a game. It was one. They took one on the road. So
that's why it's hard to be win the championship.
You're right.
It's so hard.
I think if you make it,
exactly. That's
so I guess we could just say make it. Yeah. I mean, I want to ask these, but I feel like I just know the answer. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Pretender.
Yeah.
Pretender.
The Indiana Pacers.
Pretender.
Yeah. I knew that was the answer already.
Yeah.
Wait, one more. The Detroit Pistons.
Contender for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, and which they won't get.
No.
Okay, moving on to the Western.
They'll contend for it, though. Promise you that.
They will. Moving on to the Western Conference. We're going to talk about the harder ones first, and then I don't know. If we're being honest, I think the only true easy lock contenders in the West is Nuggets Clippers, right?
Yeah.
Without a question, contenders.
Agree.
I'm not saying no one else is contenders.
Those are 2 unquestionable contenders in the West.
I think that's it. Let's talk about some interesting ones. The OKC Thunder. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I'm going to say contenders. But the trade that, it depends if they put their chips into this year, because they don't have to. They really don't have to. They can just let this thing build.
But, why wouldn't they?
It's one of those things where, hey, if they get in the playoff series and they're relying on Josh Giddey, they're not going to probably win the championship.
Right.
But if they add some depth, if they, I think adding an Andre Drummond. If they add an Andre Drummond, that's a little tease for later. I think things could be different for OKC a little bit. And I mean, Shea is unguardable.
Yes.
Shea is completely unguardable.
He's completely unguardable. Okay, here's what I'll say. This is going to tease into my next one.
Okay.
The Thunder, I will say contenders. But I lean pretenders on the Timberwolves.
Okay, yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I can't
make them...
Here's the thing. But the thing is, in a playoff series, who are you picking?
If they played each other?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Timberwolves are probably built to beat...
To a degree.
The Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would pick the Thunder.
The Thunder can kind of run teams off the court.
Right.
That's the thing that makes it hard, but they can't rebound very well. But it's almost okay because, they can't rebound very well. I really worry about them finishing possessions. That's kind of been a problem all season. And I think adding a rebounder at the deadline could help with that. But at the end of the day, the guy that they add at the deadline is probably not going to be finishing games or anything like that. But,
exactly.
They create a lot of turnovers and stuff like that. So that helps sort of mitigate the rebounding problem. And the fact that they do create so many turnovers and they run so well makes me think that they could run Denver off the floor. If you told me they run Denver off the floor, I'd be okay, I could see it a little bit. And you could say that about anybody in the West. You could tell me that they run the Clippers off the floor. You know what I mean? You could tell me that, and Shea is just they just got nothing for Shea, and Chet's hitting 3. And Dort is just all of a sudden a 45% 3-point shooter. There's a bunch of stuff that could go their way. That's why I'll lean towards contender, I think, with them. But I don't know. It's hard.
And it's hard also for me to say the Timberwolves are pretenders because I think that the Timberwolves, the last 2 years, they didn't make it 2 years in a row, or it hasn't been 2 years in a row that they made the playoffs.
Yeah,
because when they played the Grizzlies, was that 3 seasons ago or 2 years ago?
No, so the Pat Bev was 2 years ago.
Okay, so they've made the playoffs 2 years in a row. And I think that they've been pretty good when they've made the playoffs the last 2 years. That series against the Grizzlies 2 seasons ago was a 6-gamer. It was a really tough series. Last year against the Nuggets, Jokic or Mike Malone, I can't remember, one of them said that was the toughest series of the whole Western Conference run. That's crazy that it was coming against an 8 seed. So I can't really say they're pretenders because lack of experience or anything. They have playoff experience. Ant was phenomenal in the playoffs last year. Cat has had really good moments in the playoffs. Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert have gone on long runs in the playoffs before. So I just think that their offense, it could get stagnant in the playoffs, in a playoff series, which is a bit worrisome.
It's stagnant in the regular season.
Yeah.
I think late game, it's just not there for them right now. Anthony Edwards Anthony Edwards is awesome, and I love everything that he is, and I love the personality that he is and the player that he is. Super fun. But late in game, I don't know. He relies a lot on the mid-range pull-up jumper, and it's hey man, I get that he added it a little bit this offseason. He's it's cool to see him sort of try and add that to his bag throughout the year, and I love that feels comfortable with it, but that's not your superpower.
It's not his most efficient shot on one of the least most efficient shots there is.
Yeah. I want him to get to the rim.
Yeah.
I want him to get to the rim in late in games. And he can get to it anytime he wants. That's why he does it. So, I get it. I get why it's tempting.
Yeah, he can
get
just
that
rise over anyone.
Exactly. Yeah. And he can create so much space, but he's not, I don't know, he's just not quite the caliber of offensive player that these other teams have to rely on when things get a little bit tighter.
And that's kind of why I lean pretenders with them, because at least compared to OKC, I know Shea is going to take over at the end of every game, you know?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And so, and that is really a huge...
But we haven't really seen Shea in the playoffs, or this iteration of Shea.
You're right. No, we haven't. So, I But I trust. I believe that he would be a playoff performer.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I'm worried about the Timberwolves having to play Luka round one a little bit.
Right now they would be playing Luka round one.
Mm-hmm.
This playoffs is going to be so fun. Like in the West. Like the East is like, just give me Celtics, Bucks in the conference finals. Yeah. And that'll be cool.
I talked to my buddy AJ about this like a week ago, just about how I was really excited about the West. And he's like, well, in the East, like the Heat are going to be a low seed probably, and the Pacers are probably not. Like, Pacers are probably a tough matchup with Siakam now. I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. There could be a couple good first round matches, but it feels like so much is just like Boston,
right?
Milwaukee in the
like
East.
I truly would be shocked if one of Boston or Milwaukee does not make the finals.
But you could make the case that a couple teams in the West,
you know, like
you could convince me of a couple.
You could convince me like 6 teams could go to the finals in the West. Speaking of another team in the West, the Phoenix Suns, contenders or pretenders?
I'll say contenders. But I'll say contenders right now. But I think if they do nothing at the deadline, I'd struggle to get there.
Yeah, they've been playing really good as of late. And
they have, and I mean
they're
Booker
like
and Durant
relatively getting healthy. You know, like for the most part. I wonder. Remember when Eric Gordon requested a trade like a couple weeks ago? Like what was?
Yeah, I guess.
What was up with that? He has a role.
Was that just a couple weeks ago?
Maybe it was like a week ago. Or maybe it was longer. I don't know.
I feel like it was longer, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
It was right. No, it was right after he went on the JJ Redick podcast, actually, because I remember it specifically.
That was like a month. That was over.
Okay, so it was a while ago.
I think. Yeah, that was a little while ago.
But yeah, they've been playing really well as of late, and they've been relatively healthy. So when you have Booker and Kevin Durant, like I definitely can trust you to win a playoff series. But also, like last year, you could probably argue the team was better last season, and the Nuggets, I mean, they kind of manhandled them, like, if we're being honest, like, in that playoff series. So if you run into that team again in the second round, I don't think the Suns are contenders, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
but I don't know if I'm labeling them as pretenders.
Right. It's just their defense. They just don't have a championship-level defense, and that's kind of just where it falls back to me. That's kind of why I'm not, like, super into this iteration of the Suns. You could tell me that they just shot make their way through like the Nuggets or something like that, and I think the Nuggets are really going to struggle to guard them. And I think that's true. You know what Grayson Allen has been this year has been really phenomenal, but I wouldn't put them. They're definitely not on the same tier as the Nuggets and the Clippers, but you could convince
kind
me
of in that Timberwolves Thunder tier.
You could convince me that they make the finals. I think, but
I just don't know. Like they have to,
but it's like
Denver,
I really have to like squint. Like okay, I guess I can see it,
and like
but I wouldn't expect it.
Obviously, they beat the Clippers last year.
Yeah,
Clippers if healthy, they are not beating that Clippers team. Now saying Clippers if healthy is like tough. Saying I'm gonna go win $1 million. Like it just doesn't really happen in the playoffs.
Right.
But it's been good so far, and it just sucks because one of them's coming. You know, like I hate to say that, but. All three of those guys stay. I mean, Harden probably will stay healthy at least. I hope, but
I don't know. I mean, this is the healthiest they've been at up to this point in any season together, right? So,
and none of them have had like periods of being injured.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it's been very smooth sailing so far.
So
and maybe
that's helping them stay healthy. Is this the balance of not having to have one guy really go off every night when the two other guys are hurt?
Yeah, I think Harden makes things so much easier for them offensively. I had some Kawhi stuff to bring up. He's shooting over 80% at the rim. Like that's crazy. Wild. Which I think is a little bit of a James Harden stat. Kawhi it's the highest percentage of field goals assisted since he's been on the Spurs. So that helps a lot. He's not getting to the rim a ton, but like defensively he's been extremely good this season. Yeah. Better than he's been like even last year on a consistent basis, I should say. The flashes are, if you want to call them flashes, have always been there when he needs it, and he's shooting 44% from 3, 63 true shooting, 42 games played. Like they've got the best 5-man lineup in the league, above 500 possessions. Yeah, over 500 possessions. Their starting lineup's the best net rating of any lineup in the league, with a narrow lead over the Bucks starters. And without Zubac and Plumlee in, they're still like 7-1. So I don't know, like they're just a wagon right now. If they do stay healthy, I think they're going to be awesome.
And they still have flexibility to make a move too. Like if they wanted to. Obviously they don't like need. I don't think there's anything that they're like hard pressed needing on this team right now. Like with the Zubac injury, like maybe getting another big, but like you have Plumlee and Tice.
Yeah, I guess like maybe a little bit of wing like depth, like defensive wing depth.
Right.
I don't know. They've been playing like Kobe Brown a lot lately.
Yeah.
And he's been playing pretty well. So I think if they feel like they can rely upon him in the playoffs, then they're probably good to go.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, but I'm not even going to ask any specific teams. Is there any other teams in the West that you think could at least, you're not even labeling them as a contender. You could make the argument for them as a contender. Obviously, the Lakers are.
Yeah, you could. I guess you could make an argument for the Lakers just because, like, they can. Like last year, they just sort of like turned it around.
They could just make a bunch of trades for role players at the deadline and like be solid.
Whoever trades for LeBron, contender.
That's a good point.
No,
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think anyone
you
else.
Could make a Lakers case,
like the
but
Kings.
I don't.
They're not.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Maybe they can win a playoff series.
Yeah, I think they could win a series.
Dude,
it's tough in the West.
What's your favorite Nuggets first round series? Like a one that, because they're the 4 seed right now. We all know they could end up back at the 1 seed.
Nuggets Kings is kind of interesting.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like having Jokic for Sabonis, like that would be a lot of fun. The Nuggets can't really guard the Kings. I don't feel like in a series.
The Nuggets,
like the Kings are going to score.
Like the Nuggets in the playoffs defensively, I trust. Honestly.
Yeah, you're right.
Like they're kind of like a well-oiled machine to a degree. Like they scramble really well, they rotate really well. They've got like Michael Porter Jr. has been better defensively. KCP is kind of like a monster defensively, low key, like even better than really he was last year. I feel like up to this point this season. So I trust them in the playoffs defensively, but like I'd say the Suns is probably the most interesting one that's sort of realistic.
Can the Mavs make a run?
I think, yeah. I kind of think.
Like if the Mavs play the T-Wolves round 1, are they upsetting?
They've got a shot. Like they've got a shot.
They got a shot.
I
agree.
A shot.
The Pelicans, are they going to make any noise? They're like the biggest sleeper of all these teams.
Zion's
I would
looking
feel like
good, man.
He is.
The past like month of Zion has been like insane.
It has been.
So I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say that they can.
They just have so much
talent,
wing depth. Like so much, a plethora of wings that they could just throw at guys and can knock down shots. Then you add Zion and BI into that mix. Like
CJ McCollum's playing really well. Herb Jones, Trey, you can go down the list. They've got a lot of guys that I really believe
teams could use too. Like even like a Najee Marshall. Like you know how many contenders would love Najee Marshall?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of
and
teams would love Najee
he's just
Marshall.
like the
he just barely plays.
6th best wing.
He's just
on
like,
their team.
BI Zion's hurt tonight or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go.
We'll go. Like Dyson Daniels just doesn't play anymore. Like he was a defensive monster at the beginning of the year when he was playing a lot. So
absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that's basically it for. I mean, I don't think anyone else is viewed as a contender because we've gone through basically all the top 8 teams in each conference. So let's talk about some trades because, as we said earlier, the trade deadline is a week from yesterday. We are recording this on Friday. You'll probably be hearing it on Saturday. I want to play a little game of more likely to be traded, but first, you brought a trade to the table.
I did bring one.
Let's
threw one together.
Let's hear it.
Threw one together this morning. Some names that I've not seen thrown around the trade market.
And that's what we need. That's what
I wanted noted. I did call the Muscala Gallinari trade.
He did. Give a quick plug for that.
Too. Oh yeah, all right. I wrote about it like a month before it happened for Pistons Fleet. It was like we did a roundtable. It was like come up with some fake trades that you think the Pistons could make. I was like, all right, Muscala Gallinari.
And that was just, Pistons. I mean, literally both of them. Like that's
both of them. Yep.
What a call.
I know, right? I've always been a Mike Muscala guy and a Gallinari guy. But so this is another one where I'm really sort of. If this happens, like, it's fireworks.
Low key, you should be in the front office.
Low key. High key, I should be in the front office. All right. It's a 3-team trade.
Oh, these are the best.
It involves the Pistons, the Thunder, and the Bulls. Now, it's going to take. All right. So I'm going to preface this by saying the Bulls get some second-round picks. And I wish I could just talk to the Bulls GM and be like, what are you thinking about this guy and this guy? Right. But all right. The Thunder obtain Alec Burks and Andre Drummond.
Okay.
Pretty valid, right?
We talked about a rebounding big for the Thunder for sure. And they could always use some more shooting.
Is just a guy to have on the bench if you need him. You know,
he's a good vet to have.
Exactly. Yeah. And his deal is expiring. That could help them out.
Why not?
Helps them out. The Bulls get James Wiseman, another expiring contract,
and they might want to just try him out.
I think you throw him a couple seconds and Monte Morris.
Okay.
And Monte Morris is also expiring, I believe. Maybe he has a player option. I don't know. I should have looked.
I think it's a player option.
Okay,
I believe.
So maybe. So I guess
no, he's expiring.
I think
expiring.
I think so.
He is.
Okay, the Pistons get Lonzo Ball. So he's making $20 million a year. He's just not playing basketball. So we're just taking Lonzo Ball from the Bulls. We're like, we'll eat that. Whatever. He can come rehab.
So what?
Here.
He's got.
If he comes back, great. But
he's got 2 more years after this, I believe.
I think
on that
one more
contract?
year after this.
Okay. I'm checking the Monte Morris contract because I believe it is an expiring.
We get Bertans from OKC. Helps make the money work. I don't know. Brings us a little bit of floor spacing while he's here, whatever. We get Alexei Pokusevski, my dog.
Your boy.
My boy. I mean, he's just sort of a flyer.
Yeah.
He's not really getting PT in the Thunder, but
he could be the 4. He could be the 4 of the future.
He could be the 4 of the future. We have no idea. He could be the 3 of the future. We have no idea. It could be the 5 of the future. We really have no idea, but I am a Alexei Pokusevski guy, big Poku believer. So I'll take that flyer all day.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get to late in the season where we're completely out of things and we just got to throw lineups out there and just see what's going on. We'll throw Poku out there. He had a triple-double in those games before.
Yeah.
He's thrived in that environment. And we get the first-round pick from the Thunder, the Clippers' first-round pick.
Okay.
So we basically are trading Alec Burks, James Wiseman, and Monte Morris and taking on some shitty contracts for a first-round
pick. With a pick. And Lonzo Ball, who could
I got to think that the Bulls are cool to just get I don't know. I gotta think the Bulls are just cool,
especially
to get rid of
since
them, right?
they're like rebuilding or whatever.
Yeah,
now.
exactly, exactly.
But also, his value is so low that it's like, is it even worth trading him?
Right. Well, it's to make money work, really.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
At the end of the day, that's $20 million a year.
And maybe they think they can sign Braun this offseason.
Yeah.
So
that's the trade. I mean, that's the trade. What do you think?
Okay, I like that. I think that's a fun one. I haven't thought about a Lonzo move. Really, since
I don't even know how it all
year.
works. Like, I mean, he can't pass any physicals or anything, I'd imagine. Like, I don't know exactly how all that
That's
works.
A good
I'm
point.
pretty sure you can just waive that, though, if you're the front office.
I think I would assume that you can.
Yeah. So
I mean, because Steven Adams obviously just got traded yesterday.
Yeah,
so,
and it's happened before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would. I like that. I think I actually do really like that for OKC the most. Like the Drummond thing to OKC makes a lot of sense. Might as well add in Alec Burks. Chicago, I think they could be convinced into just shedding some salary, and like Wiseman.
That's exactly what it is.
You play him for
salary.
Yeah.
Maybe they get a second or two from the Thunder if they really care.
Maybe
about it.
some front offices out there still think Wiseman has something to unlock. We sure as hell don't.
That's tough to believe.
It really is. But some teams don't know. Some teams don't watch.
I guess
they just see this. They just see second overall pick.
It's true. Yeah, you might get the Bulls fans excited.
Yeah, I like that one.
Learn under Vooch.
Okay, so here's what I got for you. Right, the first thing I just want to ask is the more likely to be traded. I'm going to ask you this first one, and then I'm going to go into a couple trades that I wrote down that other people wrote, not myself. Who's more likely to be traded, LeBron or no Lakers trades happening? What's more likely to happen?
Oh wow. I don't think either of those things are likely to happen at all.
That's kind of where I'm at. That's why I made it.
I'll say LeBron being traded. The fact, like, there being no Lakers trades.
Yeah,
crazy.
that's kind of
where
LeBron. Yeah,
traded,
literally. The LeBron thing is weird because that report came out last night that Pelinka's like looking for a spot that makes sense for LeBron and wanting to move him. And then Rich Paul said this morning that LeBron is not being traded, but he made it seem like LeBron isn't asking for a trade.
Right. That's how I kind of. Rich Paul's not the GM.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
He kind of. I don't know. He's got his fingers in the cookie jar in some sense, but yeah.
So there's still a chance it happens. I think there's no way ever LeBron James gets traded in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like I know KD did, and that's weird. Like you just don't see guys of that caliber getting traded at the trade deadline.
But LeBron's 40. LeBron's 40.
And he's on an expiring. And if the Lakers if they
think they got to blow it up, that's where you got to start.
I mean, you getting something for LeBron is getting something for LeBron, because he's still such a high caliber player that you're going to get something of value for a guy that could just leave your squad in the offseason. So here's 3 LeBron trades that a Fox Sports writer wrote. I didn't see his name, but yeah, it was just Fox Sports. I just saw it on Twitter. So the first one is to the New York Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, 2 first-round picks. Good or bad trade?
Good trade. Good trade, I think, for the Knicks, for sure.
Yeah.
They get way better. I don't know if the Lakers would do it. I have no idea what LeBron's market is.
That's kind of like, I was reading these, and I'm like, what is LeBron worth?
Yeah. What's LeBron worth?
A first and a salary?
I don't know.
That just seems kind of messed up.
Julius Randle's more than a salary.
No, you're right. You're right. Yes, but
yeah, I get your point.
Like the Lakers don't want Randle instead of LeBron. Just keep LeBron. Like
bring Julius back.
Maybe
he didn't really get a shot, bro. He was there just watching Kobe.
That's a good point. Then he went and balled out on the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one to the 76ers for Tobias Harris, Furkan Korkmaz, and a 2028 Brooklyn Nets first.
So I think the Embiid injury kills this one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. This must have. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this came out, but
probably 2 days ago.
It does. It does. You're right. It does kill this one. Yeah. LeBron to Philly would be like.
Yeah, I think that is one.
That's like the spot, low-key,
yeah.
I think.
But
also, in this trade, like they're just trading for Tobias, who's also an expiring. So if you're just trying to free up cap space for the offseason,
so you're just getting assets.
Just keep LeBron.
But you're getting assets with Tobias, right?
You're just getting a first and Korkmaz.
Maybe they'll throw in like Jaden Springer.
I mean, Korkmaz is like an elite passer.
Quavion Smith. Yeah, in garbage time.
he really is. And then the last one. This one is like an interesting one. To the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Straight up.
Ooh.
This is like the best trade as far as like, I think the Lakers would be most pressed to do this one, right? Because you're actually getting a young guy.
And Duncan helps. Yeah. The thing is, like, if you're the Heat, like, you really want Duncan Robinson if you get LeBron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
You just kind of want
I think
that
he has to
piece.
for salary-wise, I would assume.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. I want to see LeBron get traded.
I do too,
just
exactly. Like, and also the Lakers aren't doing shit.
Right.
And they're going to make trades, and I think that like the way they do anything is if it's for a bunch of role players like last year, but also think about all the teams we just named in the West that like we think could go to the finals. We named like 6, and the Lakers weren't one of them. Right. So it's going to take some serious work for the Lakers to get back into contention.
Yeah, they probably just kind of got to rebuild this thing. Or it's just like, just figure it out.
Because if you're trading LeBron, like, what, are you just keeping AD? What? Like, you got to get rid of AD in the offseason, right?
You could be like, we're just trying to build something around
through AD.
Now. Yeah, I guess you could.
I just don't know if he...
You don't got to completely tear everything
down. How much does
down.
he want to do that?
Probably not a lot.
Probably not a lot. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
All right, it is 3:50, so we have about 10 minutes of podcasting to finish up here.
Okay.
More likely to be traded.
Yeah.
Pistons edition.
Oh, let's go.
Bojan Bogdanovic or Alec Burks?
I'll say Alec Burks. I think Bojan's more sort of... I think the Pistons want Bojan a lot more than they want Alec Burks. Maybe other teams do too, but...
And I think if you're trading Bojan, it's probably in a bigger salary match kind of trade, right?
Yeah, probably. And like, I think the Pistons are calling the phone like, "Hey, we got Alec Burks," but I don't think they're quite doing that with Bojan right now. That's sort of what the vibes I'm getting.
Okay, I kind of feel that
as of late.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's just a $10 million difference in money. Like, it's just a lot easier to trade for Alec Burks. Okay, who's more likely to be traded? DeJounte Murray or Zach LaVine? Kind of different markets, completely different markets for these guys, you know?
More likely to be traded. I knew you were going to ask this one, and I still don't have an answer. I'm not super convinced a lot of teams want either of them, if I'm being honest. I'm not convinced anybody wants Zach LaVine, so I kind of think the Pistons might just get him. Like, all right, sure.
Let's just talk about that really quickly. Like, do you just, like, would you be cool if they just, like, traded Bojan and Killian and Wiseman in a couple seconds for LaVine? Like, are you cool with that?
I mean, I guess I'd be cool with it. I don't think it really does anything. Well, I'd rather just have Bojan's contract because it expires sooner.
That's kind of what I'm like.
LaVine's got like 4 years on it.
Literally,
you know,
it really ties you up.
I don't think he makes you very much better.
And he's on your team for those years. Like, you're not trading him away to another team.
No. And he just kind of I would prefer
like
that they didn't do that.
Cool. Like, it would be cool from like a. Wow, like maybe he can help us get to 12 wins this year. But like I don't think he would even want to be here.
Why would he?
Like, we're so bad.
Yeah, why would he want to be here?
But anyways, DeJounte or LaVine? I would assume you're saying DeJounte then.
I guess I'll say DeJounte, but I'm not convinced a ton of teams really want DeJounte either. But that's just, I don't like DeJounte. Like, I'm not a big DeJounte fan, I guess. So
yeah.
That could just be my own bias.
I do want to see back to the Spurs. Like, that would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Give Atlanta like a pick or two of their own back.
Yeah, I've seen that floated around. It almost feels like, but almost if you're, I don't know how much time is on DeJounte's contract, too, but if I'm the Spurs, I think I'm just being patient.
He just signed a new extension, like, going into this season. Like, he would have been a free agent, so he's got a minimum of 4 years left on that deal.
Yeah, if I'm the Spurs, I'm like being patient. I think I'm taking patience as the best
Probably.
route for now. Although also, I would want Trey. So
yeah, that's true. But also, if you're the Hawks, like, do you really want to trade him back for less assets than you got for him to the same team? Just kind of makes you look silly.
That's true.
It's not the greatest look in the world.
It's not the greatest look, but they do have they have job security because they have Wemby.
Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't matter.
True. Okay. Who's more likely to be traded? Point guard edition.
Let's go.
On bad teams edition.
Okay.
Tyus Jones or Malcolm Brogdon?
Tyus Jones, I think. I think there's more of a market for Tyus Jones. There was also a report today that Tyus Jones was like,
I saw that for like a couple seconds or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot of teams could use him.
Yeah, I'll go with Tyus Jones. But, I mean, Brogdon could be traded, too. It makes sense.
And here's a hypothetical Brogdon trade I wrote down to the Knicks.
Okay.
Malcolm Brogdon to the Knicks in exchange for Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Dallas's first in this year's draft. Is that too much for Malcolm Brogdon?
I think so.
That's kind of my first
Is
thought.
Brogdon, do you think Brogdon's, clearly better than Quentin Grimes? Because I don't.
I mean, right now in today's moment to help the Knicks, yes. But as far as from an asset-wise standpoint, probably not.
Yeah.
You don't need the first, right? Grimes and Fournier seems like enough.
Seems fair. Yeah, I
for
think that's
Brogdon.
I'd like to see Grimes get moved. I guess
Grimes on the Pistons, I would love. I loved him in the Knicks, on the Knicks the last couple of years when he was the starting two, just kind of the defensive hound, knock down threes. I really was a huge fan of his. Yeah. And now he just doesn't play, and it's just
Well, he was starting for a while, and then he was I never get the ball, which he didn't. He never got the ball. That's true. But it's he said that, and so they're all right, fine.
You just aren't going to play now.
You just won't play. Yeah,
which I think I do think he brings a lot to the table. I
think so, too. He's
in college, he was a shot creator, too. He wasn't just a shooter. He was an off-the-dribble scorer.
A little bit. I will say, he probably had, I think he had, 6 free throws the first month of the season. So it's not like he's really doing that a whole lot. But that's kind of what they asked.
Just a little less than Cade.
So, yeah. Right behind Cade.
Okay, I have 2 more.
All right.
Who's more likely to be traded? This one, I struggled to find a guy to go along with Tobias Harris.
Okay.
So this is who I picked. Tobias Harris or Kyle Kuzma. Because there's been random
weird.
Kuzma talk. I don't think
anybody wants Kuzma.
I don't think he gets...
Tobias.
I saw a rumor that the Mavs want Kuzma, which I don't know how true that is, and it would be weird.
I'd rather have Tobias.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, I should have done Tobias or Jeremy Grant, but I don't think Jeremy Grant's getting traded.
Yeah.
I saw. Did you see that tweet that was? Is Jeremy Grant the Kevin Durant of Tobias Harris? I like that,
God,
dude.
That's a great tweet.
That tweet is awesome.
Who said the ball guy said that?
Yeah, that was I saw that and I was like, dude, this is such a good tweet.
That is a great tweet. That is a great tweet.
That is a phenomenal tweet.
Jeremy Grant, the Kevin
and they
Durant
both played on the Pistons, which is so funny.
True. I like Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, I think he's having a really good year. I mean, but it's someone commented was like,
Royce White on.
So what does this mean? Basically, he's a good number 1 option on a bad team, but only the 3rd or 4th option on a good team. And it was yeah, basically.
He's probably not even a number 1 option on the bad team. He wouldn't be a number 1 option anywhere anymore, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
It was real while lasted.
But Jeremy Grant though.
Who's Jeremy Grant the number 1 option of?
I mean, the Pistons, he was.
No, but who is he now?
I mean, I'm not saying he is right now. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
You could argue he kind of is.
He wouldn't be.
On Portland. I'm talking about on bad teams.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, on a good team, he's definitely not. Obviously, yeah.
But
no, you're right. You're right. But but some nights he is,
Yeah, sure. Some nights he is.
Yeah, but this is pointless anyways.
It is pointless.
Okay, last one. This is a 3-parter.
Okay.
If one of these guys had to get traded at the deadline, the Pistons decided we're doing it. Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. If one of these guys, if they decided, you know what, our core 4 doesn't even play any minutes together, so why do we keep them all? We're going to move one of them. Obviously, Cade would not get traded.
This could get me yelled at by all types of people. You got to move one of the 3.
You got it. Let's say it's for a DeJounte Murray-esque player. I'm not saying it's him. I'm not saying it's him. You're moving them for, obviously a talented guy right now. You wouldn't move one of them for a scrub.
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't know. Jalen Duren's last game left a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay, really?
That much. I guess I'll go with him, but
right after the 2020 game.
Trade any of them.
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident that I wouldn't trade anyone. Exactly, right. I think he could be unbelievable. He's unbelievable. But I worry a little bit about his defense, where it's at right now.
Yeah, I'm just against the we're so bad. Why would we trade any of those guys?
Yeah.
And I think I've flipped on the whole buying thing. Why would we buy at the deadline? We suck.
Yeah.
Just trade the vets and play the young dudes and just see what happens, man.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you want picks?" Well, the response, "Oh, you want picks to do what? We're just going to draft more bad players."
Yeah.
And it's
I keep
what's the other? Are we going to trade for Jokic? What do you think?
What do you think? I keep seeing people saying we need to trade Bojan to the Knicks to get our pick back so we can trade our pick for a better player. What?
It's like we could trade it for somebody's.
What?
Like
why would we trade our pick?
Yeah.
Like, we need to get
I don't get why. Like, I was cool with trading Bojan last year because it was like, oh, like his value is higher than it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm with that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But now it's like, you guys
are you getting a
everybody
first?
wants to trade Bojan for somebody probably worse to come back.
Definitely.
And like everybody's upset about what we are right now.
And you're
like,
probably
more vet help.
you probably aren't getting a first for Bojan, right? Yeah, that's kind of how everyone was always like, we need to get more shooters and vets on this team.
We got to keep.
We have Bojan.
Yeah.
Like I'm
that's
not
the one. That's like our best. That's our best shooter.
like, and it does. I will say, I get a bit frustrated. I don't think Bojan Bogdanovic is very good in the clutch, at least this season.
No,
And
they rely
he
on him a lot.
And they rely on him like the most in the clutch. And it's just it gets a bit frustrating. Like in that Cavs
That's
game.
not. I don't know if that's Bojan's
No,
fault.
it's not. But it's just like, man, if he wasn't on the team and we
Right,
traded him,
right.
it'd
Agree
be,
with
it'd
that.
be Cade and Ivy
I agree
doing
with
it.
that. I
And I
agree with
want
that.
to at least. I'm not saying that they would be better than Bojan.
It'd be
I
Burks.
want to see it.
It'd be
though.
Burks doing it. I don't know.
Dude, that Cavs game, I mean, the last like 5 minutes, it was just Bojan shoots, Burks shoots, Bojan shoots, Burks turns it over. It's like, dude, and Cade missed the layup, so that kind of made it made it fine. But that just frustrated me because it's like, can we just like Cade and Ivy
Let's just rely on them.
Let's just
see how. Rely on them. Live
Exactly.
with them losing and winning the game.
That's kind of that's
where I'm
I
at.
want
That's
them
where
to
I was
get those reps of like,
Agree.
go win us the game, go ice,
Agree.
get an ice bucket. Can they do it? We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe
we can maybe the Spurs will give us a shooter for Killian.
Jetty Osman.
That'd be
I don't
sick.
think they would, dude.
I don't think they would either.
Doug McDermott.
I don't think so, but I'd be with it.
Yeah, I don't think they're giving us anyone then.
I don't. You're probably right about that. They're probably not giving us anybody. Mama could.
Sandro
Mamu. I just call him. I usually just call him like Mamu.
Shavili something. Yeah,
it's like
Mama. I don't know it either.
Mamu Kashvili. I used to know how to say it.
I think that might be it. I think that might be it.
Mamu Kashvili.
Any closing thoughts here before we end today's podcast?
Thoughts. The Pistons are better with Muscala and Gallinari. I'll say that much. It is a better basketball team.
Yeah,
I will be that.
They definitely
are competent. They're just a bad NBA team.
They've won games without Cade.
Yeah, I don't think they're historically bad with those two guys. I think they're just like bad NBA team, like very
Still
bad NBA
pretty
team.
bad,
Not
for sure.
historically garbage though. That's where I'm at with where we are right now.
Over under 1.5 trades the Pistons make before Thursday.
I'm gonna take the under.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
I think one happens. I agree. I think it's like Killian and Wiseman or something like that. Like it's going to be small. It's going to be
Goldfish,
or like Burks, or Monte. Maybe Monte Morris gets flipped. I think maybe a team could want him. It's going to be something small.
A team could want Monte Morris. I wonder if they'll. I'd almost feel bad if we traded Monte Morris. It's like, damn, he just got going.
Yeah,
hometown
true.
Team.
But also, like,
I know that's not the point,
go play for a good team.
Yeah, that too.
Quickly, I did have one quick game planned for you, but we didn't get to it. But I just want to ask one of them. I had a who he play for game ready for you. And it's like,
shit.
It's obscure guys.
All right,
like, who does Ish Wainwright play for this year?
Is he on the Wizards?
He's on the Portland Trailblazers. So like solid
I watched
guess.
the Trailblazers. I did not.
He's played like 7
seeing,
games this year.
I don't remember ever seeing Ish Wainwright.
I had some funny
It's
ones.
like he's not on the Suns anymore.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to this week. Matt, thank you for joining me as always.
Of course.
Hopefully some crazy stuff happens before Thursday's trade deadline.
If it does, I got to be back.
For sure. We'll do a trade deadline reaction episode for sure because some stuff is going to go down.
Yeah.
All right, we're out.
You got to think so.